Good, man. How are you?
Good. Hope you guys enjoyed the bye week.
How was yours? What was the focus and what did you accomplish?
Focus was a little bit of self-scout, right, and then recruiting. It was recruiting nonstop. You know, had a chance to get out on the road with Coach and go and hit some places. Get out on the road with Coach J. Mo, go and hit some places. Obviously, had a chance to recruit here in the state and then bounced around a little throughout various parts of the country. You know, the goal is always to continue to develop and just add pieces to your roster that you see fit. But all in all, it was a pretty good bye week. You know, bye week don't seem like it's really a bye week. It just seems like more work. But all in all, it was pretty good.
What did you find out about yourself, Scott, through 5 games and have some Penn State game involved in that? What would you?
Yeah, I think that you know, I think there were some areas that I felt like we excelled in. Other areas I feel like we got to get better at. I think taking the ball away. You know, the Penn State game was the first game we didn't have to take away, right? And so the result of that, you can say, I mean, obviously we lost that game, but you can point to many different moments where I felt like we could have had one. You know, it's all about just trying to give the other side of the ball extra possessions, right? It's all about, you know, I think if you can take the ball away at a high clip like we've done, especially early on in the season, you give the other side of the ball chances. Also, you have a chance to score on defense. And so just coming out of the bye week and just self-scouting has really been just fundamentals. Fundamentals are really a key thing. You know, more importantly, when we've taken the ball away, we've given ourselves a chance to win as opposed to not. In terms of coverage things, I won't dive in deeply. I'm not trying to give them our competition any ammo, but there were some things I found out, some things that I think we did better at than others. You know, I'm going to continue to probably self-scout us just on a weekly basis, you know, so teams don't get a beat on us.
Purdue's been struggling. They've made a change in coordinators. They only have 1 game to film on that. How do you prepare and ask your guys what to expect with that?
Yeah, I think part of it is, right, like, let's not forget this is a rivalry game, right? I think despite what they're dealing with and what they're going through, right, I know they have good players and they got damn good coaches, you know, and so at the end of the day, this is a rivalry game. So whatever has taken place prior to us playing them, I mean, I think sometimes that film can tell you a lie, you know, because I watched that quarterback move around in the pocket, and he's just as good as any quarterback, maybe better than any quarterback we played this season, right? I watched that running back run downhill like a madman, right? And Maccabee, I mean, he does a great job, especially on the perimeter. You know, I watched their O-line, right, bury people up front, you know, to create those running lanes for the running back, and do some good things in pass protection. The reality of it is right, whatever they're going through, whatever they're dealing with, right, obviously, I know they want to play better, right, and I fully expect them when they walk into this stadium. It is the first game of the year. It is a brand new season because it is a rivalry game, right? I think you have to throw everything else that they've been going through out of the window. At the end of the day, right, it's about us playing good football, right? It's about us doing what we're supposed to do in regards to our job every single play. And I know it's going to be a live atmosphere, so we're really looking forward to that.
Coach, is it right to assume when you're not playing Purdue that you're probably rooting for Coach Walters? Is that fair?
Pardon me?
Yeah, are you rooting for Coach Walters when he's not playing? You know,
all the time. All the time when we're not playing him. Yes, sir.
So when they're struggling like they have been this year, how do you feel about that? Do you talk to them at all, or tell me how that?
I had talked to him probably about 3 weeks. I mean, I think it's natural, right? When you got relationships with people, you don't want to see them struggle.
Right.
You know, you don't want to see them just right. You don't, like, I got a daughter, right? She fell down the other day, and although she was crying, I didn't want to see her fall down, but I know that there's a lesson in that.
Okay.
You know, and so, like, I think at the end of the day, like, this profession, this coaching profession, it is insane, right? Like, you can, it's all, you can have 2 different spectrums in terms of, right? You can be in one segment of your life where there's a lot of success and you're doing some great things and everything's going well. And then you can be in another segment of your life where there's struggle and you're dealing with some things. And I just think that really good people who grow from opportunities who go from hard opportunities, I think naturally we call them people who persevere. And I know one thing, I know that team's gonna come over here ready to rock and roll and ready to play. And so when Walt was here, we used to always speak about, like, if we ever had a chance to play each other, like, we gonna go at each other's neck, right, and hug each other after the game. You know what I'm saying? It's like to your point, it's like a brotherhood. But at the end of the day, it's not about me, him. It's not about coach. It's about our guys going out there and showing what they can do.
When you played at Wisconsin, like you guys beat Minnesota, you get the axe, like the rivalry trophy games. What is it like as a college player and just as a football coach playing these rivalry games that also have these kind of trophies? Like, how do you guys kind of go about that?
Yeah, I think it's really cool. You know, I think for us being here, we haven't had it yet. You know, and so that's I can't speak on that too much. We got some guys in the building that have had it, that have had the cannon, but the reality of it is when you're playing these trophy games and these rivalry games, I mean, they're so sacred, I think, to college football in the sanctity and the brotherhood that was there, because it's a tradition that's been established, right, for years on end. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, to have this game as an opportunity, right, and you're playing for something, I think it's truly incredible, not just for us as coaches, right, but for our players as well. And so I can obviously remember my time at Wisconsin and winning the Axe. You know, that was always bragging rights for that year. You know, that was always bragging rights when you did go up to Minnesota for vacation, or you had friends that were on the opposing team. You know what I'm saying? And so I just think at the end of the day, like, the goal is to win every game. But there becomes a little more added sauce and juice to it when it's for a trophy, right? And we're relatively close in regards to proximity, right? We recruit a lot of the same people, you know, and so I just think you give yourself a leg up when you do have a chance to play in these games and win them.
When you're self-scouting through these first 5 weeks, what part does personnel and depth chart play in that? Or do you feel like guys are locked in, or could we see different guys getting a little?
Yes, sir. I think that's a phenomenal question, right? So the beauty about what we've done is one thing I did even prior to the season starting is I tried to do a good job of, and Coach spoke to this, right, putting our best players in the best position, right? You saw Gabe Atkins move inside a little bit, right? And so that was just something that we took note of in the offseason. And then just moving forward from a self-scout standpoint is like, how can I give our players an advantage? You know, is that a personnel grouping? Is that moving one guy off the field because he don't need these snaps and bringing another guy onto the field based on the situation? And so there's been a lot of detail and info, and you may or may not see new personnel groupings, right? But I will tell you this, you know, I think the way our system and our scheme is set up for players to come into it and have a lot of success, to play fast, right? To not allow them to think. You know, we don't like guys that think. We want guys that can go out there and get lined up and just play extremely fast. And I think part of that is we have some really, really good teachers in the building from our young coaches on up, you know, and we just try to put them in advantageous positions to go out there and be successful. So maybe there'll be some personnel things that we've added, that we've taken out, that we just want to hone in on specific groupings. But, right, on the same thing on defense, offenses are going to try to do that to you as well. Offenses are going to try to, you know, if they're coming off a bye week or they had extended time, to try to get into miscellaneous personnel groupings and see how you're going to adjust to them. And so I just think as a coach, you always have to have plays to counter plays, you know, to kind of help you if they do present something that you haven't seen, at least you have an answer for.
You've been able to limit explosives, force long drives. How much of that is by design? What is that, the identity of this 2014 defense?
Right. Well, I think, you know, if I could, I want to go on record saying, if I can get a 3-and-out, fellas, I will take a 3-and-out every single time. I promise you that, you know. But I just think naturally, you know, we have had a couple of longer drives, and I can remember. I think it was the Central Michigan game, and/or Kansas game, right? I think it was like a 17 or Nebraska game, like a 17-19 play drive, right? And that's a testament to the offense, right? They converted on a couple of third downs. They got a couple of explosive plays, you know. And at the end of the day, I'm trying to get off the field as fast as possible. If I can do that with a takeaway, I'm going to do that. But I do think our guys, from our defensive line to our secondary, they've done a tremendous job in not only just keeping things in front of them, but contesting them, right? Oftentimes, probably outside of the Penn State game, when you saw a catch, you saw a tackle. Right, and so I think that guys have done a really good job, and that just goes back to fundamentals, right? Like, they catch the ball, they pop a run, get them down, right? Give us another opportunity, you know, and that's a testament to how we practice or how we've been practicing, you know, and just in regards to even on these if coach extends or shortens practice, we still have our fundamental and individual peers in there. And so, but again, if I can have 103 and outs, I'll take them every day of the week. You know what I'm saying? And so the goal isn't to try to keep our guys on the field. The goal is to, right, based on the situation we're in, knowing that teams like to take shots in these certain segments, or teams like to do this in regards to backed up, or teams like to do certain things in regards to being in a low red, right? I'm trying to put our players in a great position to be successful based on the call.
How would you maybe evaluate run defense, both with Penn State as the most recent game, but also having 5 games worth?
Yeah, well, I think it's been up and down, right? I do think we could have been better in some regards, you know, especially in the Penn State game. But, you know, like, and I went on record and told you guys this before, right? At the end of the day, my goal is to eliminate points. My goal is to stop points. If that's by way of holding them to no yards, running the ball, ideally would like to hold a team for negative yards or 0 yards in a run game. You know, and so I think there's been some things in terms of the self-scout that we've done and tweaked, right, and been able to plus a guy here minus a guy there, right, maybe add a coverage, take away a coverage in regards to allowing our guys to be successful in the run game. You know what I'm saying? But I will say this, right, like, they got good players too, right? Like let's not sit here and pretend that Penn State doesn't have an O-line that's ridiculous, right? They got some really, really good running backs, and they did a really, really good job. I think we tried to, for the most part, like, I knew going into that game was, are we going to completely shut down their run game with the kind of backs they had? I mean, we hit that back in the backfield 2 or 3 times, and, I mean, he just kept running. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that just as important is the guy who's tackling them is also the guy who's running the ball. Like, we got some really, really good backs in this league, and Penn State's only one of those teams who has good. Michigan's going to have good backs. Purdue has really, really good. We're going to face some backs that are really, really talented, but the goal is to try to minimize some of those runs, especially on those longer drives, to give our guys an advantage. But at the end of the day, you know, I want to try to eliminate as many points as possible. If that means, do I ever want a team to throw for 500 yards? No, hell no. Right? Do I want them to run for 500? Absolutely not. But if you told me a team ran for 400 yards and they got 3 points and we won the game, you know what? We're gonna try to find some remedy to fix some of those runs. Was it quarterback runs? Was it outside zone? Was it counter? Right? But I'm going to be damn happy that we only gave up 3 points and we won the game.
Aaron, miles after the game, you talked about Penn State was intentionally not pushing it downfield, and maybe over the middle of the field. I'm curious if you think that was a factor of them having success on the ground, or maybe something you guys need to find a counter to.
Well, I think it was 2 parts to that, right? One, I think the offensive coordinator wants to run the ball, right? I just think that's the way that's. I mean, even looking at his time at Kansas, that's the way it's kind of built, right? The back that he had at Kansas was ridiculous, you know. And I think 2, they didn't need to, you know what I mean? Like move some guys, move some front, brought some pressure, right? And you know, like, I think at the end of the day, in some of those situations, their guy outran our guy, or our guy missed a tackle. You know, in regards to that game, we missed 17 tackles, right? Anytime you're in double-digit missed tackles, you open up Pandora's box. All right, rewind to the week before versus Nebraska, we missed 5. Right, and so, like, again, this game is gonna always boil down to fundamentals and tackling. Right, we missed 17 tackles. Why? Right, so that's probably the main thing that I looked at in regards to that. Why do we miss those tackles? Are we putting a guy in space that isn't that isn't good at tackling in space? Right, could I reduce some of those areas that he was tackling in? Right? Could we play with a little more depth to our defense and move another guy off the ball, as opposed to having a bare front, right? Where there's a first level and a third level pretty heavily loaded, but the second level is not as deep. And so there were some things that I looked at in terms of the bye week that I do think moving forward is definitely going to benefit us in that regard.
Last one here.
I apologize if I'm getting too specific here, but it seems to me this year that it's a referee question on what I call the intentional underthrow, where they're not really trying to complete the pass. They're trying to get the flag, and it seems like that flag has not been thrown, or it's been picked up a little bit more. Has that been a point of emphasis starting this preseason that maybe I wasn't aware of, that, you know, refs are kind of understanding that's not a catchable ball either?
Well, 2 parts to that, okay? I did a study last season, right, in regards to the PIs. Obviously had a ton of PIs, but sure, a lot of that was man coverage. Right. A lot of that was man coverage. If you look at the year before, obviously had a really talented secondary, and so going into last year, I felt like we could play man, but I'm sure every head coach was saying that these guys grab, pull, tug when they're in man-to-man, right? Well, you put that in somebody's ear, right, they're probably going to pay attention a little more. Well, this year, we played a combination of some man, some zone, some this, some that, and teams haven't really got a beat on when we were playing man and zone. And so I think as part of it is, right, one, we're playing with a little more eyes on the quarterback, so there really hasn't been a need for those guys to even give us an opportunity to have a PI, you know. And then two, our guys have gotten better, right, because they're a little more experienced. Coach Parker's done a tremendous job in teaching those guys, okay, this is where we want to get our eyes back at when you're in phase. All right, we're in a red area. This is how we want to play this ball. When we're down the field, right, this is how we want to play this ball. And I think there's been because we've been emphasizing takeaways, naturally when you're doing that, there's a lot more, okay, let me find out and locate where this ball is to give us a better opportunity. And we try to let the refs know that before the game. Listen, these guys we're gonna be in man-to-man. They're gonna get their eyes back. They're gonna purposely look for the ball to try to make a play on it. And so I think it's a combination of us being in zone coverage a little more than last year, and our guys having a little more experience learning from the things that took place last year.
Thanks, Coach Henry.